Okay, let me just address the elephant in the room for a second and say, indoor rowing sucks. It is one of the most boring exercises that you can do. You're basically looking at this tiny Game Boy screen from 1996, and you are just contemplating your life and thinking about how much your body is suffering through your workout. That is really unfortunate because rowing outside on a river in an actual boat is one of the most magical experiences when it comes to working out that you can have. You are one with nature, one with your teammates, you feel the fresh breeze on your face, and I was actually lucky enough to be able to experience this myself when I was, believe it or not, a competitive rower in high school. And we can forget about the fact that I was in the slow boat in the back where they put the worst people on the team. But nonetheless, I did experience this myself. However, rowing on an indoor rowing machine does not live up to that at all. And that is really where Hydrow is coming into the scene. So Hydrow is a company that sells this rowing machine, but it's not like the rowing machines that you are used to or I was used to using at the gym. It is really a completely different experience that tries to bring some of the magical experience of rowing out on the water into a at-home piece of equipment. So I actually reached out to Hydrow and asked them if they would be willing to send me a Hydrow in order to review it, and they agreed. Thank you to them for that. They also gave me an affiliate link, and if I can get any kind of discount or anything like that, I will put that down in the description. However, I'm even more grateful for the fact that they are letting me really make this a true comprehensive review. I checked with them beforehand. I said, hey, I'm going to be talking about negatives in this video. I'm going to talk about things I don't like. Are you okay with that? And they agreed. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So when it comes to actually making a purchase of your Hydrow, there's a few different options and like plans that are available. You can also buy the accessories a la carte. So if you want to have like a more of a customized plan, you can do that. Myself personally, I basically have that because I have the machine, plus I have the floor mat, but I don't have any of the other accessories. Another thing that's a little bit different than some of the other smart workout devices is that you don't need to buy any of the accessories. You want to just buy the machine by itself. You can do pretty much everything. You can just use regular sneakers for this. There's no special shoes. There's no accessories that are really required. However, one thing that you do need to purchase is the monthly membership fee. The monthly membership is $38, which is just comes with the territory with these connected fitness devices. However, the good thing is you can add unlimited people to it, which is always nice. So if you have several people using it, then it does really cut down on the cost per person. So when it's time to actually have your Hydrow delivered, there's really two different delivery options. There's standard shipping where your Hydrow is just going to be shipped in the mail, in a box, come to you like a regular package. And at this point, standard shipping is included with your Hydrow purchase. And there's also kind of a more premium version of shipping where you can get in-home delivery, where they will set everything up for you, take away all of the packaging materials and all of that. Unfortunately, the bad news and kind of a con that you think about is at this point in time, at least with the state of the world and everything like that, standard shipping is the only option available for most people, most locations, it seems like. Personally, I was lucky enough to, skip the line or something and get access to the in-home delivery option. And they did everything. Basically, I had a 2-hour delivery window, and these two delivery drivers, Norm and Steven, who were really awesome. Basically, they came on time during the delivery window. They were super nice, friendly, polite. They were masked. They took away all the packaging. They walked me through everything. It was super easy, super seamless, really no complaints about the delivery process at all. So now let's talk about the actual machine itself. So I don't know if it's just me, but it definitely gives me like friendly humpback whale vibes. I don't know if you can see that. It's like the big belly, the back fins, the front fins, the head. It's like coming up for air. First, let's start at the back. So we have this seat, very, standard stuff. It slides like this. Next, we have these foot holder things, whatever these shoe things are called. These are pretty standard if you've used other rowing machines. These aren't amazing. Kind of a hassle if you do have to like move them up and down a lot, like if you have different people using this, but it's not too bad and pretty standard with other machines as well. Next up, you have these handles, and a handle just kind of sits very nicely in this little like compartment thing. The only thing to be aware of when you're using the handle is definitely make sure that you put it gently back into this little compartment. If you let it go, it will just catapult itself backwards. And I think I do have a small dent on my wall where my husband decided to not let it go properly and it like flung into the wall. So definitely be careful about that. I would say the handles are pretty nice. They're made out of a bit more of like a matte grip material. The only kind of nitpicky thing to point out when it comes to the handles is I do kind of wish that they were slightly more grippy. If you're going for a longer workout, your hands may start to slip a little bit. Now let me just show you what the sound is like from the rower. The sound, it kind of sounds like Casper the Friendly Ghost, if I'm gonna be honest. Like it has a bit of like a soft, like whirring, whooshing kind of sound. So I probably wouldn't use it in like a bedroom or something, like while someone else is sleeping, because it does, you know, it's not completely silent, but overall I would say the sound is really not too bad. It's not super loud at all. So on the front of the machine, we have wheels, so it does make it a little bit easier to move it around, and you can actually also store the machine vertically if you need to save space and you aren't going to be able to use it for a while. And then the most important thing obviously is the touch screen. It is a 22-inch screen. It turns from side to side. It also turns up and down, but you cannot turn it like all the way, like 360 degrees. So just keep that in mind if you're in a really tight space and you can only work out like in one direction or something, you know, you're slightly limited to how you can turn it. You know, just keep that in mind. Now, finally, let's talk about the available accessories. So the only accessories that I personally tried was the mat. So the mat is really nice. It's just like plain black and it says Hydrow on the side. The only thing to keep in mind with the mat is it is a little bit wider on either side than the actual Hydrow itself. So if you are like really limited on space, just keep that in mind. I don't think you need the mat in order to have a good experience with this. So if you just don't have room for it, I wouldn't worry about that. They also have some other accessories as well, like resistance bands, blocks, heart rate monitor, stuff like that. Again, I don't think that those accessories are necessary, which personally I really appreciate. But I would say if you do want to do the floor workouts and you don't have those types of accessories already, then I would recommend getting those accessories, whether it's from Hydrow or somewhere else, just so you can really have a full experience with the floor classes. But you don't need to have the Hydrow ones. You can buy those other places. So I think if you already have those accessories already, then don't worry about it. But if you don't have them, you do want to do a lot of those floor classes, then check that out if you're interested. Okay, so now let's kind of walk through what you can actually see on the screen itself, what the options are, all of that kind of stuff. So when you first turn on the machine, first screen that's available is the home screen. And on the top left side, you'll see the streak. So how many weeks you've been consistently rowing or taking classes. It'll also give you a recommended row. So if you swipe down, you can see a lot more information. So you see upcoming live rows, you see different programs that they have, more featured classes. So the second screen is the library, and it basically shows you all of the available classes that are available. So on the top that you can search by the athlete, by the duration, the workout type, the workout style, and the location. Or alternatively, you can just kind of scroll through and see what's available. My only real complaint when it comes to this library screen is I feel like it's not always that intuitive to be able to find every single thing that you want. So they do have obviously a ton of different ways to filter for classes, but one thing they don't have is just like a simple search bar to be able to find the things you want. So there was one class, like a themed music class, that I had seen on the recommended page, and it was not that intuitive to actually be able to find that class. So, you know, just kind of a nitpicky thing. So the next page is this feed page. Personally, I haven't really got a ton of use out of this, but basically on this screen, you will see other rows that other people have taken. So the next page is the racing page. And this is actually really cool if you are a competitive rower or you're more competitive and you want to be kind of simulate like a race type of experience. So basically how this works is you sign up with one other person and then you each race, like you do the row on your own, and then you can be part of this weekly leaderboard. So the next screen is the weekly progress page. So basically it'll tell you a calendar of all of the days that you've worked out. It'll tell you how long a streak you have. It'll show you some of your lifetime stats. So like your lifetime number of workouts. It'll tell you a summary of the last week, the last 30 days, as well as lifetime. And then another thing that's really cool is that there are these challenges with water.org and different milestones. So if you hit certain milestones in terms of the number of meters that you've rowed or the number of days you've rowed, you can actually get like prizes and like things sent to you in the mail from Hydrow. That is pretty cool and kind of is like a motivational factor. And then they also will show you kind of like a rundown of all of the different workouts that you've done over time. So the next screen, you have your profile where you have all of your individual like personal information, like your height, your weight, your birthday, all of that kind of stuff. And then on the final screen, you have the help page, which just kind of has like FAQs and stuff like that. So now let's talk about the classes and the instructors. So one thing that I think is really, really unique about Hydrow that's different than other types of at-home equipment like Peloton, for example, is all of the classes, at least all of them that I have seen, are actually filmed outside. And you really get that experience of kind of feeling like you're actually in the water with the instructors. And at first I was like, how are they even doing this? Like, who is filming them? Like, how does this work? And then I saw in some of the videos that there's actually a boat, like a motorboat kind of thing, like following the instructors around. They are filming these instructors live rowing on the water, which I think is a really cool experience. It definitely, I mean, obviously nothing can really match the experience of being out on the water yourself, but you do kind of have some of that experience. So I think that is really cool. And about 90% of the total classes are rowing classes, which makes sense. You know, this is a rowing machine. So when it comes to the rowing classes, there's a few different ways that you can take them. You can take them from the pre-recorded library, which is the majority of available classes, but then there's also classes that are available live as well. My only complaint when it comes to the live classes is there's really not that many of them. Normally there's only one or maybe two live classes per day. And oftentimes they're in like the middle of the day. So it might be like noon Pacific time, like 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you're working like a 9-to-5 job, it may be pretty difficult to actually be able to make these live classes. So just keep that in mind if it's super important to you to be able to have those live classes. You know, they are kind of limited by the elements and by like when it is safe and, you know, okay to row out on the water. So, you know, just kind of a nitpicky thing when it comes to the classes. Now, the good thing about the classes is there are such a big variety, and it honestly, the time does really go by pretty quickly, in my opinion. As I said, I think normally rowing on a rowing machine is extremely boring, but I do think that for the most part, the instructors make it fun. There's different themes of the classes, so it might be like improving your technique, it might be a music theme, it might be themed around the location that they're in. And for the most part, the instructors seem to be like professional type of rowers, or maybe not professional, but they have like competitive rowing experience for the most part. So these are not just like raw instructors. They really know what they're doing, and they can kind of give you tips of technique and stuff like that along the way. So there's two different types of classes you can take. You can take rowing classes, and you can also take floor classes as well. Just know though that when it comes to floor classes, the selection of classes available is relatively limited. It's about 10% of the total class library. So there's about 200 classes or so, which sounds like a lot, but just keep in mind that once you start filtering for the floor classes, like if you just want yoga classes, or you just want like a 30-minute class, or you just want like a stretching, the available options start narrowing down pretty fast. So if you want to regularly take floor classes as part of your Hydrow workout, just keep in mind that the selection of available classes is going to be pretty small for the most part. So you're probably going to have to take repeat classes if you want to take the floor classes super regularly. You know, just keep that in mind if you are buying this for the entire package of the rowing classes plus the floor classes. Now, when it comes to the difficulty level, I would say the rowing classes have a really good variety of difficulty. There's some that are pretty easy, more gentle, and then there's some that are really, really intense. However, when it comes to floor classes, I would say most of them are probably more towards the easy to moderate level. Also, the floor classes for the most part are mostly limited to body weights, or some of them use like the Hydrow accessories like the resistance bands or the blocks. But for the most part, the floor classes are not going to be using weights or any type of other more advanced equipment or anything like that. Most of the classes are things like yoga, Pilates, stretching, or kind of like more body weight type of exercises. So, just keep that in mind. Okay, and then finally, in addition to the classes, they also have these journeys, which is basically if you have a Peloton, these are like basically the equivalent of scenic rides. So there's no instructors, and you just have like a set time period. So there'll be like 60 minutes or 30 minutes or 5 minutes, and you select one and then you just go without an instructor. No one's talking to you or anything like that. And you can just go and kind of row at your own pace. The only thing that I wish that they had in terms of like the rowing features is, as far as I can tell, they don't have just a completely manual rowing option. So the closest thing to like a manual row option are these journeys, but they don't really have like a completely manual option where you can just row for any time period, whenever. So just keep that in mind if that in particular is really important to you. Okay, now we're gonna kind of walk through what you actually see on the screen when you are rowing. The first thing is you'll have your split, which is how fast you are rowing each 500 meters. You will have a countdown timer. You will have your strokes per minute, which is how fast you're going, as well as your average speed. You'll also have the total meters rowed, the calories, and then your heart rate if you do have a heart rate monitor connected. Then on the right side, you will see a leaderboard. This will show you everyone who's taken the class and kind of where you stack up compared to them. One thing that I like is that you are able to toggle on and off the leaderboard. However, one complaint I have about the actual other metrics is you are not able to toggle them on and off. So for me, I like to just toggle everything off and just kind of feel like I'm in the water with the instructor and I'm not like staring at a bunch of numbers. Another kind of negative thing that this is true with Peloton also is you cannot pause classes, even if they're live or not. You cannot pause the classes at all. So just keep that in mind. So if your baby starts screaming, you get a phone call, you're kind of stuck with the class continuing to go. So just keep that in mind. And then the only other negative thing that I have noticed with the classes is I do find that the actual video and audio quality it's not perfect. Like it's not as good as what I've seen from studio filmed classes. And I think that's kind of to be expected considering that these are all filmed outside. You have elements, you have water, wind, other noises outside. It's not like an insulated studio environment. So, just think about that. And finally, I just want to talk about the workout aspect of this. Is this thing a good workout? Now, listen, I am someone who already works out pretty regularly. Prior to getting the Hydrow, I was doing the Peloton workouts pretty much every single day for the past 6 months. So, I'm in decent shape, I would say, but my first few times on the Hydrow, I was so sore. I finished my 15-minute intro workout and I'm not super sweaty, so I don't really understand how this is even possible, but it's all of my back, all of my butt, all my forearms are so sore. Normally I don't get sore like this until the next day, so I'm a little bit nervous considering this was just a 15-minute easy intro class. I was really, really glad that they had those floor workouts so I could kind of alternate between the cycling as well as the floor workouts and kind of give my body a break. But rowing is a really amazing workout. And if you've never rowed before, I would definitely recommend going to a gym and just trying out a rowing machine just to get a sense of what the workout is like, because it is truly a full body workout. And I'm gonna be honest, before I started rowing myself, before I'd ever been out on the water and I had no idea about rowing, to be completely honest, I did not realize that the people in the boats were using their legs at all. I kid you not, I thought it was like a canoe where there were just stationary seats and the people in the boat were just doing this. Literally, I did not realize that they were moving their full body and they were going up and down with their legs, but they are. I think it's 80% of your muscles are working out when you're rowing versus running or cycling, which uses comparatively a lot fewer of your muscles. So even as someone who works out pretty regularly and cycles a lot, I was still super, super sore after using the Hydrow. I would say even if you're someone who has a treadmill or has a bike at home, and if you have the budget for it, I think it is really, really nice to add something like the Hydrow where you can use different type of muscles that you're not going to use necessarily with those other types of machines. So that was my experience with the workouts. So now for my final thoughts of the Hydrow. Well, I would say ultimately I really enjoyed trying out the Hydrow. That being said, there are some negatives to it. I don't think everything is perfect. Ultimately, I would recommend this to you if you are someone who really likes having more of like a class type of environment where you really like to have an instructor and you want to incorporate more rowing into your life. But if you are someone like me who is just not motivated by those super boring old school rowing machines and you want something that's more engaging, it's more fun, where you can listen to music, listen to an instructor, and just have more of like an engaging class-like experience. So those are my thoughts on it. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you have any other questions, definitely let me know down in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you have. And then finally, if you do end up purchasing a Hydrow after watching this video, it would be so amazing if you do use my affiliate link in the description. It does not cost you a penny extra, and you do support me and help me continue to make videos like this and bring more new equipment like this to show you. So if you do end up purchasing a Hydrow after watching this video, then definitely check out that link down in the description box. And that's it. Until next time, bye.